Well, hi there, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on this rather monumental occasion. While everyone else seems to be pulling out their crock pots for Crocktober, I'm over here figuring out how to flash fry freeze-dried beef dices for some chicken fried steak bites. Oh dear, I sometimes I just do things for the challenge of it. Now, I need to thank my husband Drew for planting this idea in my head because at first I kind of assumed it couldn't be done because after all, our steak bites are already cooked. But then I tried to set aside all of my, preconceived notions about what freeze-dried food can be, and I just started brainstorming, and I thought, you know what, it won't hurt to try. And boy, did it not hurt! These chicken fried steak bites are delicious. Now, for those of you who might not know what chicken fried steak is, it's this divine creation that we eat here in Texas quite a bit. I'll try to describe it to you. It's usually a tenderized cut of beef, a little steak that is breaded and then fried like you would normally fry chicken, hence the name, and it's always served with cream gravy. So if you order it at a restaurant around here, it'll have a side of mashed potatoes and either some corn or green beans, something like that. So today I'm going to show you the chicken fried steak, the mashed potatoes, and the cream gravy. And y'all, it's an amazing meal. So let me start with the chicken fried steak bites. I'm going to use a 24-ounce jar because I needed 3 servings. And you can count on about half a cup of the beef dices per person. I did 1.25 cups and it was actually plenty for the 3 of us. My daughter doesn't have a huge appetite. So in that jar is going to go a couple of baggies, and those are going to be used for the breading. So I've got a cup of all-purpose flour in that first bag, and I added a teaspoon of all-purpose seasoning to it. And yes, you can make this gluten-free. You could use our gluten-free flour there, and it would work beautifully. All right, the second baggie just has some of our scrambled egg mix in it. And like I said, both of those are going to be used in the breading for the chicken fried steak bites. And that's all there is to that first jar. So all we're going to need to do is add some water. I'll show you that in a minute. Let me show you how I put together the mashed potato jar. I'm going to admit this, I'm kind of extra here for the mashed potatoes because I'm adding butter powder, sour cream powder, and the seasonings, and really you could get away with just doing the mashed potato flakes and some salt and pepper. That's all you really need because the gravy goes on top of the mashed potatoes as well, and the gravy is really full of flavor. But I added those things just because I think they're delicious. But you could skip that if you want to. All right, now for the gravy, I wanted to go ahead and make an entire jar of gravy mix. So this is going to give me probably 8 batches of gravy, but I just wanted to go ahead and do it all while I had the ingredients out. So that's a cup of all-purpose flour, and yes, you can use gluten-free flour here. Half a cup of the Thrive Life instant milk powder, and then you need some heavy cream powder here because it's cream gravy, okay? So heavy cream powder. That cornstarch is going to really help the texture of the gravy. And then just some seasonings. We've got kosher salt, a good amount of black pepper, and just a pinch of cayenne. That's not going to make the gravy spicy. It just deepens the flavor. Y'all, I should have stirred all of that up. I did shake it together off camera, but yeah, it needs to be really thoroughly mixed before you make the gravy. So these are the jars you could keep stored on your pantry shelf. Now, all of these are good independent of one another. You don't have to make all of them together, although they're really kind of meant to be together. And I definitely suggest you make the gravy if you're going to try the chicken fried steak bites. I think the steak definitely needs the gravy. And when you're ready to make this, you will want to start with the steak bites. So go ahead and take the egg and the flour out of the jar and then you can rehydrate those beef dices in the jar. Now that's near boiling water. I've got that kettle, and you just pour it in until they start to float, and that's probably enough water, and gently stir or gently shake that just so everybody has access to that boiling water. And you need to let those rehydrate for about 15 to 20 minutes. Meanwhile, you can go ahead and get your breading station ingredients ready. So just add some water to that scrambled egg mix. That'll be the egg wash for the breading. And then put the flour and the seasoning in a bowl and mix it up. Every once in a while, come along and give that beef a little gentle stir. Meanwhile, you can go ahead and make your mashed potatoes. While you're waiting, you'll just bring a cup and a half of water to a boil. Shake that mashed potato mix there, make sure everything's good and incorporated, and just turn off the heat. Add the contents of the jar to the boiling water, give it a stir, and that's it. They're instant mashed potatoes. They're ready just instantly. And they should stay good and warm while you get the rest of your meal together. Put the lid on there and just keep them warm. Set those to the side. Now, this part takes a bit of time, so go ahead and get your oil preheating. I'm using kind of a medium large-ish pot. You'll need about an inch of oil, and you need to get that to about 350, 360, 370, somewhere in there. It took me about 12 or 15 minutes to preheat that. Meanwhile, set up your breading station, and you can get these chicken fried steak bites breaded. So this is what the bites are going to look like after they have been rehydrating for about 15 minutes in that really, really hot water. See, when I squeeze that, the juice comes out and they're completely rehydrated. There's no crunch left at all. Strain off the water, but reserve that water. We'll use it to make the gravy. That kind of beefy flavored water, that's going to make a really delicious gravy. And you can spread those beef dices out on a little plate or something. You'll want to sprinkle them with a little bit of that seasoned flour. And the reason I do that is because when my mom used to make chicken fried steak, she did what she called a double breading. So she did flour, egg wash, flour. So it creates a little bit of a thicker coating of the breading on the steak. And I think these really need it because since the beef is already cooked, you don't want the frying process to actually cook the beef. You want it to heat the beef but not cook it and dry it out. So a little bit thicker breading helps keep the beef dices from drying out. Put them in the egg wash, get them in that seasoned flour, and then somehow just shake off the excess flour. I put them into that little strainer, and then I gave it a really good shake and got rid of the excess flour that way. And I just did that to all of the beef dices until they were ready to fry. And when my oil reached about 360 degrees, I added the beef dices to the oil. Now I did this in 2 batches, and set your timer for 2 minutes. That's really all you need. That will get your breading crispy on the outside, but it won't be so long that it dries out the beef in the middle. And it's really important that your oil is at the right temperature. I used a thermometer to make sure that I was not too hot, but just right. And after 2 minutes, you can strain off the excess oil and put them on a paper towel lined plate to drain. Depending on the size of your pan, you could probably do it all at once as well, but this process does not take long. I did it in 2 batches, and I was finished in about 5 minutes total with the frying process. So yeah, it does not take long. Once your oil gets to the right temperature, it goes really quickly. And you'll just pull them out when they're nice and golden. All right, now it's time to make the cream gravy. So I've got a medium skillet. You'll need 2 tablespoons of butter or bacon grease or lard or tallow, something like that. And then 1/4 cup of the gravy mix. So 2 tablespoons of grease, 1/4 cup of the gravy mix, and you'll whisk this and incorporate it. It'll make a paste, and then you need to toast the paste for about 2 minutes to cook the flour, and then add enough water to that beef liquid to equal 1 cup, and add 1 cup of liquid to the gravy and whisk it until it's nice and smooth. I whisked for probably a minute, and then once it was smooth, I cooked that for maybe 2 minutes. And this is the texture, the consistency of your gravy. After just a few minutes of cooking, it should coat the back of a spoon, so it'll be nice and thick, and it should be ready at that point. It does not take long at all. You can taste that and adjust your seasonings. I didn't add anything. I thought it was wonderful. So now it's ready to plate up. So those mashed potatoes will thicken a bit as they stand, and the gravy will too. So they're both ready to serve. You can just get a plate and put you some mashed potatoes by your chicken fried steak bites. My daughter says that the gravy is such a star of this recipe, and I agree. It's wonderful gravy. I like to put gravy on the mashed potatoes. Now, if this was a traditional Texas chicken fried steak, you would pour the gravy on top of the meat. And of course, you could do that here too. But my daughter liked to dip the little bites into the gravy. So I put some in a bowl. I thought I'd show you how she likes to eat it, as well as how I like to eat it. But isn't that a gorgeous meal? Those cute little chicken fried steak bites, y'all, they're so yummy. I love the breading. It tastes amazing. Thrive Life scrambled egg mix works fantastic in the breading station. It fries up beautifully. The beef did not dry out. It was still tender, perfectly dippable. Just the cutest little bites, y'all. Chicken fried steak in Texas is probably one of the maybe top 4 foods in Texas. I looked at a list, and the list I looked at had chicken fried steak as the number 1 food in Texas. So this is just something that's available at lots of places around where we live. So y'all, this turned out really good. I like to eat these just with a fork, and I like to make sure there's some gravy and some mashed potatoes on every bite. But how about that, y'all? How about that? All right, I will include the full recipe down in the description box below, as well as my shopping link where you can pick up any of these Thrive Life ingredients that you're interested in. I'll also include my website where you can purchase my cookbook. I have an ebook with over 90 recipes in it. They are recipes for meals in jars from my YouTube channel. And lots of yummy recipes for you in there. I've got hyperlinks to all the videos as well. It's an ebook, and you can download it onto multiple devices and then print off any of the recipes that you're interested in. Okay, guys, thank y'all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Leave me a comment if you don't mind. That really helps my channel. All right, I appreciate y'all so much. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Hope you have a wonderful day. And until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.